Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we're going to get into the perfect breakup. Have you ever thought about that before? We're always dwelling, we're always caring, we're always thinking about what's next. We're hurting, we're angry, things went wrong, it's unfair, I don't like this feeling, the list goes on. But what if it was a perfect breakup? Are they out there? What would it look like for you? Interestingly enough, in the show notes, what I did was you go to ChatGPT, which is going to be the new Siri, right? If you go to ChatGPT and you put in the perfect breakup, it's in the show notes right now. I'm going to tell you what, in my eyes, in my opinion, what would be the perfect breakup. And I got a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe 9 points to the perfect breakup. And really, I'm not sure there is a perfect breakup. It's a high bar to have, right? It's not that simple. And aspiring for the perfect breakup is going to leave you pretty frustrated. But let's get into what my idea of a perfect breakup would be if it was to happen. And the world's a big place with lots of people, so I'm sure some people go, oh, mine worked out just fine. Did it work out for the other person so fine? So, number one, and please, if you watch this later on, let me know what your perfect breakup would be. Make a list, 1, 2, 3, because really when you're in the middle of the breakup, you're not thinking of a plan or an idea that it's almost like you lean into the idea that it's not going to get better. There is no perfect breakup because that hurt just like comes over you like a cloud in a storm, right? And you just can't get out of it. Number one, you don't hurt, you're actually happy. Has anyone ever had this happen in a breakup? You're like, wow, wait a minute. I feel light and bright and excited about the day. I feel like there's a load off my shoulders. I think there are people that actually have this happen when they break up. Unfortunately, you don't go to YouTube channels to look for advice when this happens, right? Number two, you don't miss them. You wish them all the best. Some people say this, but they don't really feel it. They don't really want it, right? Number three, you hope they meet someone else and it goes well for both of them. Now, there's a idea, right? If you think about it, you think a lot of times it's like, yeah, I just wish them all the best, some surface statement like that, but you definitely don't wish them the best for whoever they're with, right? Number four, you look back on the relationship like a good movie that ended at just the right time, where you leave the theater and you're like, well, you know what? Some things could have went different in there, but overall, it left me with a good feeling. Number five, the bad stories were great lessons you were thankful for. I mean, this is one of those things where if you talk to people 5 years, 10 years out of a breakup, that they'll say, oh, I learned so much from my breakup, or I wouldn't have done this, but they're not really thankful for it, right? It's just kind of happened, and they don't realize that their life would have been boring or stuck, or they wouldn't have took the job that ended up being their career if they hadn't made that move for that breakup. Because a lot of times before a breakup happens, you're getting little nudges. There's little internal talk inside of you like, this isn't going well. I need to leave this thing. This thing's really messed up. It's people don't realize that there's psychics out there, right? There's people that can feel things, that know things. They've been around since the beginning of time. How much they know, I don't know. But we all have a little bit of that in us. We all have this intuition, and that intuition is elevated when you're with someone that you know so well. Okay, when you live with someone, when you talk on the phone every day with them, you start to merge with that person. When you merge with that person, you are able to feel what they feel sometimes and sense some things. That's why when people go, oh, I just had to check their phone. And I found out that she was talking to a guy at work, or something was just off. I don't know what it was. Recently, I read a Reddit post where the guy was saying that his girlfriend had brought a guy that she worked with to a medical appointment she had, and he met her there. And immediately when he met this guy, he could just feel something's not right here. And he's not the jealous type. He never thought she cheated before, but he couldn't shake this feeling. Your intuition is telling you a lot. Now, here's the crazy thing. Your intuition is actually a lot of times telling you to break up, right? When things are going wrong or when things are going bad. But when it gets really bad and the trigger gets pulled, those feelings had been happening for 5 months, 6 months, 3 months. It's really difficult when someone gets the rug pulled out from under them and it's just a total shock. But the bad stories were great lessons and you should be thankful for them. Number 6, you see them on social media and don't care what they are doing or who they are doing it with. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be outstanding this would probably be the number one superpower if someone was like, hey, I want to be granted one superpower for my ex post breakup. I think that if people could say, like, okay, every time I see them on social media, I will not feel anything towards them and I can just let it go. Number 7, you don't talk to them for 100 days just to show yourself you can live without them just fine. Think about that. So instead of saying like, oh, I'm going to go into no contact and I don't know how long I'm going to go into no contact. I don't know if I'll ever talk to them again. They never cared about me. Instead of going that route, you just go, hey, I'm going to commit to 100 days not to talk to them just to prove to myself I'll just be fine. I can eat, sleep, drink water, hang out with friends or family, or take walks in the park, right? G Money, you've been money for years. It's been a while, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for the 2 hearts. Next time I'll take 3. You go in no contact to start a new life, make space for a new partner. I'm good, G Money. I'm real good. You don't try to know or think what they are thinking. You just trust it will be okay. So this would be the perfect breakup, right? G Money, what would you say am I missing in these 9 things? Really quick. Let me just bust through them real quick. You don't hurt. You're actually happy. You break up. You're like, you know what? Whistling Dixie. Number 2, you don't miss them. You wish them all the best. You just completely are like, I'm fine. I wish you all the best. You hope they meet someone else and it goes well for both of them. Number 4, you look back on the relationship like a good movie that ended at just the right time. All the loops got closed. There's no mysteries at the end and everything worked out. 5, the bad stories were great lessons and you are thankful for that. You see them on social media and don't care what they are doing or who they're doing it with. You don't talk to them for 100 days just to show yourself you can live without them and be just fine. You go in no contact to start a new life and make space for a new partner. You don't try to know or think what they are thinking. You just trust it'll be okay. Imagine if you could do all those things post breakup. Probably there's one more thing that would make it a perfect breakup. And what would that be, the great G Money? What would that be for you? What am I missing from that 9? It seems obvious, right? It seems obvious. I would say that a lot of people would say that the perfect way to come out of a breakup is to have about a 2-month window where you catch your breath, 2 or 3 months, you catch your breath, you get back to reality, you get some new habits, you stop thinking about them so much, and you meet your ideal partner. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10 on attraction. On a scale of 1 to 10 on chemistry and connection, it's a 10. And then you got that trust part, and you've been so healed from your past relationship, learned all these lessons that you trust this individual at a 10. That would be perfect. Lofote 03. Lafote. That almost sounds like a Polynesian name. If your ex contacts you after having ended things with their new partner, the one after you, whilst, I take it from the UK, not Polynesia, you are in a new relationship, but then quickly cuts things off again. What does that mean? Let me read that again. I feel confused in one paragraph reading of that. If your ex contacts you after having ended things with their new partner, the one after you, whilst you are in a new relationship, but then quickly cuts things off again. What does that mean? Well, I would need to know more to the story, Lofto, Lafoto, Lafote, O3. What a name. Let me just call you Lolo. Bottom line is that whenever someone ends a relationship, the human mind goes, okay, how can I replace that? You don't necessarily do it, but you think to yourself, even if you don't contact an ex or someone that you were in a relationship with for a while or friends with benefits, your mind naturally usually goes back to who you've been with before. Because what happened is you failed at this most recent relationship, right? And so the relationship that you were in before, you rethink that one too. And if that one somehow was safer, better, more secure, the person made more money, that'll be amplified by the fact that you were in another relationship that failed and was more short-winded than the one. So your relationship gets elevated if for some reason that new breakup was a worse relationship than the relationship you two had in their eyes, if you can follow everything I just said. I would need to ask you a few more questions. Like other things that go into that is the personality of the individual. So there's individuals out there that just can't be alone, right? They need to fill that space really quick. Um, they need the financial help. Um, there was a situation recently where a client came to me and their ex actually came back, called them up, and was extremely scared of their current boyfriend who they had just broken up with because he was making physical threats. He had verbally abused her. He had threatened uh, the guy that was her ex boyfriend, and the list goes on. So she had called him up for comfort, safety, and just an ear to listen. And she came over, they hung out, and they started hanging out that week, but they didn't get back together. They didn't get intimate again. And he got really upset because he took it as, okay, you want to get back together, where she was just looking for comfort from an ex that um, she knew at the end loved her more than she loved him. So there's some intricacies into that. But I would say I would have to know, Lolo, what happened in your breakup or your relationship and what the kind of person that is, and then I could shed more light on why they did it. Yes, I follow what you mean perfectly. It was both of our first real love. We started it when we were 16 and it went on for roughly 3 years before she broke up. All right, well, then the younger you are, all right, so just look at it like this, like your late teens, 18, 19, 20, your early 20s, you're just gonna be more impulsive and selfish. Okay, that's just how it is for most people that age group, all right? There's some old souls out there, some people in their 22 that have a fucking great credit score and they've already bought their first condo and they're doing everything society tells them to do. And, everyone goes, wow, this person really has it together till they don't, right? Life's going to hit you at some point. But in reality, in your 20s, you're feeling things out, you're trying new things, your hormones are at your highest level. Um, and so, and like I said before, when think about it like this, you're 21, 22, you have access to the whole spectrum of romantic relationships. So if you get to like 50, if you're, a 50-year-old guy and you got high status, you're a movie star, okay, then you can date 20-something-year-old women, right? But the average usually is like at age 50, you're not gonna have as many options. So when you're in your 20s, you have way more options because more people are not married, locked down, hormones are high. Everyone in their 20s is basically looking their best of their life, right? And so it's a different scenario. And then you got the other idea when you have a first love, it's always going to be special because you had nothing to compare it to before, right? Unfortunately, for a lot of people, when you get to your 30s, if you had 3 or 4 relationships, and dare I say, a couple of them were bad, tragic, or really upsetting, you're comparing the next relationship you get into. Hey, be careful. This could be a fucking minefield. Watch where you step. And it affects you. Where when in your first love, You don't have that. You just go all in. This is gonna be fun. There's no like, "Hey, let me dip my toe in the water. It might be dangerous in there." Right? But the reality is, and you'll hear me say this a lot on this show, usually in the 21st century, in the 2020s of time, most people say to themselves, wow, is this the last person I'm ever going to be with? Because till death do us part, marriage, when you're 21, 22, you're like, no way. So, really, a lot of times, your first love's not going to be your last love. And it's not the movies, it's not a Disney story. But what she's doing or he's doing, whoever it is for you, um, is they something just failed and now your relationship that you had seems a lot better than it was because it's being compared to something was worse. Mirror, mirror, hello, Mac, hello, all. Perfect breakup is where both dump each other through understanding and having contact. We agreed to break up. You see, the ironic thing is, there's never going to be a breakup where both sides want the exact same things. And even if both sides are like, oh, yeah, we agreed it's over and it was time, someone's a little bit more bitter or a lot more bitter. Someone didn't get as much money or the things they wanted. Someone feels like you had it. You know what I mean? It's never going to be equal 100%. That's why if you're chasing a relationship that's fair, good luck. Because it's going to, the relationship will go up and down, and someone's going to give in one area and give in another area. Um, all right. So I do have some relationship advice questions from Reddit that we can go through. Um, I also wanted to start something on the live stream with some feel good stories because, and it doesn't have to be about a breakup. What I'm really interested in is the idea that your content consumption at this stage in your life in 2024 is very important. So watching the news, watching about wars and these things, okay, you want to be informed, maybe you need it for work, maybe it's something that's really important to you. Keep it to a minimum, but make sure you pick up some stories that light up your day or make you feel better, right? And so if you've got a feel good story from the news, we got 3 on deck right now. Please share it. Anything from the news, anything from your life that's just a feel good story that you say, wow, that ended nice and that tingled down my spine. That was really good to hear. I'll share one of the best feel good stories I've ever heard or read in a moment. I agree. No contact was what worked best for me. Otherwise, you just stay stuck at first. And it helped me make my ex lose the special status. Well, what you do is if you can, so going back to what I mentioned today, and I think you gotta, so however you talk yourself into staying with no contact, I think the idea of just, oh, I'm gonna do no contact, you have no finish line. So that really bugs people. Well, how long is it gonna be? I used to have this hiking spot, and I lived in Thailand for years. And this hiking spot was about 5 miles, and it was a loop, right? So you'd go like this, and then you'd come back. And I would always where I lived, a lot of people went on vacation. So you run into people or something like that. You say, "Hey, man, you want to go hiking sometime? It's a really nice spot. It's not a tourist destination." So I take people on this hike, and of course, some people are out of shape. They're having trouble getting up the hill, and the number one question you get a lot, how much longer? How much further? People do this all oh, excellent, Ben. Keep that on ice for a second. People will People the most common question though would be like, how much further? 10 minutes? How much longer though? Especially if they were tired, right? And this would be specifically those people that are out of shape or they don't like the heat, they don't like to sweat. And literally every 10 to 15 minutes, how much longer? Well, how much further do we have to go? And I'd say, hey, let's just take a break. It's fine. Now it would drive people nuts because I didn't have it on a coordinates. I didn't have a map in front of me. I would just tell them I've done this, This will be another hour. This will be another 20 minutes. And and certain people would have to know. They would literally ask the question again and again. Then there would be people that were really lighthearted, easygoing. They could do the 5-mile hike in sandals. They could take breaks, and they wouldn't even ask you that question. It would just be, "Oh my god, this is beautiful." It's perspective, okay? And so going back to no contact, there's some people you need to have the finish line just because that's how you're built and that's how you talk, okay? So when you do no contact, one of the things I would recommend is that you put 100 days on it. That doesn't mean in 100 days you're gonna get, uh, I don't know, her back or him back or whatever your partner is, whatever. Doesn't mean that. It just means like, all right, I can do this for 100 days. But the idea is, can I live without this person for 100 days? That would be a challenge that someone could go, all right, now I know what I'm working towards. I got 100 days of no contact, no social media, no talking, and if you wanted, you could just go like, you could tell them, I'm not going to talk to you for 100 days. You're not going to talk to me for 100 hours, whatever. So then you can just prove to yourself, I can do this without them. That's a way to do it. That's a way to frame it. Okay, so I got a feel good story in a new relationship that's going well. And my time talking to Mac has helped a bunch. A year of regular check ins has helped me see my worth, build self confidence. I've been told in my last and current relationship is that I'm emotionally very mature, and that's a highlight. It's all how I approach things now. Started with the tapping method, now it's more of a state. Excellent, Ben. Well, that made my day. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And when whenever you work on your stuff, and I've had a few more clients like this where we start out with a breakup, consider meeting Mac an investment. I appreciate that, BW. Thank you kindly, my friend. Um, what I've noticed is that you come to me for a breakup in the beginning and we talk about that, we unpack that. It's ground zero, it's a situation, you need to unfold all that. But clients I've had come back and we meet once a week for a month and we do some other things, we touch base on other parts of your life. It's not going to just come together all at once. You're not going to be like, oh my God, I feel so much better. But what it does is it plants little seeds. Oh, let me shift the boat from this perspective. Maybe I was looking at this a little bit wrong. Not that I'm going to tell you how to think. It's just that when you're stuck on things in a certain context and a certain narrative, if you can switch that, that seed will grow in a different direction. And now when you're in a relationship, you cleaned up some things in your life or your perspective, your stories, your limited beliefs, to where now when you start a new relationship, you're doing things differently. You're handling things differently. And the way I would compare it is to the game slowing down. A lot of athletes, when they get good at basketball or another sport, a coach will say, oh, the game slowed down for them. What you're doing now is you're more in touch with what your triggers are, with what perspective you used to have that you now know don't react to. Because what you do is when you're a little kid, you just sponge everything. You're just downloading everything your parents or your caretaker or your grandparents or your siblings or your teachers tell you to do because they're authority figures that keep you alive. So you just you get to your teens, you act out those stories, narratives, rules to life that those parents, caretakers, and teachers gave you. And then you get into your 20s, you sprinkle in a few more friendship relationships, maybe a couple breakups. And now you're impulsively just acting out on your life experiences, not hoping to repeat the bad ones. Okay. So when you get to like a point where you're like, wait a minute, let me reassess all this stuff I've been through in my life, all these teachings, and let me see what I want to keep and what I want to let go of and what's not serving me or where I got trapped into some storyline that's just not true. That's some place I believe I can help you with. I know I can help you with because I've done it for a bunch of people. Aussie 411. Hey, coach from humid Miami. How you doing, Ozzy? It's a great name. What's Ozzy short for? Osborne? Thanks for that story. That made my day, man. All right, so let's get into a little bit of relationship advice questions from Reddit. And like I said before, one of the reasons I really like these questions, Australian, isn't it? Osborne? I don't know. Why I like these questions from Reddit is because these little questions or these situations within a relationship. This is what leads to your breakups. This is what I find is really good is that coming with a specific problem that's under the umbrella of toxic or narcissistic. Let's get to the details. Let's find out what the problem is, what you're looking for. Okay. And really people are locked in sometimes. I just read I think the first Reddit post I read last week. Oh, I got you. I don't think Aussie's short for Australian in this case, but in some cases. Getting back to it, so the relationship advice questions like last week, this is a great example when someone's being very close-minded. The post had, a paragraph about how they met. We've been together 3 years. She didn't work all the time, but he's working 50-hour weeks. She's now working 50-hour weeks. Okay, stay with me on this. They're working 50-hour weeks. He's always not minded the fact that he does the chores, the cleaning up around the house, the washing the dishes, the laundry, the walking the dog. Now, the interesting thing is he's saying that he's doing more of that because she's working 50 hours a week and she's too tired. And so he's pissed off. He doesn't know how to bring it up to her because she's working more, she's tired, and she didn't do this before. So it's harder for her to clean the house. So what's the answer to that? He's like, how do I bring it up to her that she needs to walk the dog and clean the house more? To me, it was really clear. You guys are both working 50 hours a week. Why don't you get a cleaning service? I don't know what it costs. I don't know if that's in the cards, but if you're and then decide like what do you really not mind doing? Like for me, walking the dog's not a chore. I like going for a walk. I like taking my dog for a walk. That's not a chore to me. Washing dishes or doing laundry is a chore. That's something I don't like doing. But I know in my life I can do it if I need to, right? On the flip side, you guys got 100 hours of salary a week and you can't afford a cleaning staff. That would just nick the problem, right? All right, so let's get into this. Let's see what we got today. And anyone else out there that's got a question or a situation, go ahead and throw it in the comments. Feel free to let it rip. So let's start with this. My best friend rejected a blind date with a woman because she was too old and non-Asian or white, and now is mad at me for dating her and wants me to stop. How do I handle this? Let's take a look at this. I don't even know if this is considered a relationship. My best friend M and I have been friends since childhood because our mothers are best friends. We are both Asian. He is ethnically Taiwanese. I am Korean. This all started when our friend's girlfriend thought it would be cute to set us up with her friends on a group blind date. She suggested my friend M should go with her friend S because they are closer in age, and I was going to go with her other friend. We had no pictures, just names, ages, and ethnicity. It's pretty difficult to go on a date with no picture, but okay. I mean, it's kind of funny because just thinking about that, right, for a minute. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's with you or you got a buddy and his girlfriend's like, "Oh yeah, my friend's really cute," and you're single at the time, and she's going on and on about her friend, and then you go, "Can I just get a picture?" because you feel like that'll push it in one direction or another. I mean, appearance does attraction or appearance does count. It is the bait that, hooks the fish. Keeping that fish on the line is a different deal. We had no pictures, just names, and that's it. My M did not want to go with S because S is Ethiopian and apparently too old, despite them being the same age. All right, whatever. You're allowed to choose who you date. You're allowed to have people you don't date. There's nothing wrong with that. You wanted to pull out of it and said only I should go for the date. I don't really care about ethnicity or age, so I offered to switch. Of course, you're the one writing this, so you're gonna be the one that's, the more righteous one, right? He agreed because B is white and that was it. Okay, fast forward a week later, we made plans to meet up at the restaurant for a group dinner and then go separate dates if we liked each other. We got there first, and then in walks the lady. S follows, and I see possibly one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. She's petite, 5'2". She was in a pretty pink dress. She's strikingly beautiful. Dark, long, curly hair, beautiful dark skin, gorgeous, big gray eyes. I don't know. I don't think of gray eyes being gorgeous, but to each their own. When someone is so beautiful, you just want to stare at them. Okay, I get it. B is beautiful too, but was overshadowed by S. They sat down and would not take his eyes off S. She was my date, so of course she sat next to me. We had a conversation as a group, but I was more interested in her. M hardly paid any attention to B. He was trying to. You need to use real names next time, like not letters. He was trying to talk to S, asking her questions. She was polite, but I could tell B felt left out. So I made small talk. The ladies went to the bathroom. And then I'm just going to say Mila said because S and I are the same age, I think we should go with the original plan, spend the rest of the evening with, I will spend mine. I can't even read this. I'm going to abort that mission. Interestingly enough, let's see if I can get to the bottom of this. Hold on a sec. I stated I did not want her to feel left out because Emily. Okay. Apparently, I broke the bro code and should stop seeing. I don't want to stop. I like her. She likes me too. She said she was glad it was me. We have gone on 3 dates. I don't want to make things official. I plan on moving out of the apartment. I don't need a roommate. I make enough money to get my own place. But is this worth losing my friend over? Look, if you went on a blind date and now your friend's saying, "Oh, I don't want you to go out with her because that was supposed to be my blind date," that's ridiculous. One thing I will say about uh, things that you have with your friend, okay, if you have a really good friend, you guys have a disagreement. Let's just make this a little bit broader. Let's. It sounds like here they had a blind date, and it was a group of blind dates, which is weird. But they went out, and the girl that he ended up with ended up being someone that the other guy was jealous of. Friends and guy friends get jealous of who you're with or who you're dating. Does it happen all the time? No, it doesn't. The bottom line, though, is sometimes people in the moment cannot know when to stop. So what they do is they build this case, they grab little convenient narratives and stories and facts, and then they throw it in your face. You got to figure out what's right and wrong to you. And sometimes you got to walk away from a friend just like you have to walk away from a relationship. Sometimes you got to go no contact with your friends. Some people it's not easy. The other thing to that too is when you go no contact with a friend, a buddy, what have you, what you're telling them is like right now we're going to agree to disagree. But we can meet back on that bridge. A lot of times over time, a year, 6 months, 8 months, people come to their senses or they just let it go. The difference in a breakup that's romantic, that's intimate, honestly, it's a different audience. So I think people disregard the fact that when you break up, you're a little embarrassed sometimes. Not always, not everyone, but you were with that person for a long time and everyone knows that. Where when you have a falling out with a friend, it's usually a specific topic or something like that. It's not like, hence the reason you wouldn't say I broke up with my friend, but people do it all the time. You need to stand by your morals and what you think is right. And if they come to their senses, that means that they were just acting out emotionally. All right, let's take a look and see if we can find a story that's a little bit better written. This is an interesting question. What are some small, let me pull this up. What are some small acts of love and intimacy that you can give your partner throughout the day? Well, I can think of a few. I'm 28-year-old female trying to broaden these. Let's see here. Trying to broaden these little facts with my boyfriend, 30 of almost 3 years. About a month ago, his work schedule changed, and not long after, we both got the flu. Catching up this past week has been exhausting, and we both discussed a bit of disconnect that we're wanting to work on since it's been hell for weeks. Okay, so just off the jump here, just keep in mind when you're not getting along with your partner, girlfriend, or boyfriend that if you have the flu or shit's going wrong at work, your ability to have energy and be in a good mood for them changes. Okay. So it's not them. So you need to realize, all right, when I get back on deck, when I get a full head of sleep, and you're allowed to just go, I just don't feel good. You're not in the mood. I got the flu. You're allowed to be in a bad mood when you have a flu, right? When you get out of that, that's when you can, get back to things. But these aren't things where, oh, we've been neglecting each other. We don't communicate well. You don't fucking feel good. You're sick. It's affecting how you treat everyone, not just your partner. So here, let me pull this up. It's not a bit of a disconnect. No, you had the flu, you've had a couple bad weeks at work, and now you guys need to get back on deck and maybe get some intimacy involved. I love learning about just little shows of affection and intimacy that people develop throughout their relationships. I thought it might be fun and a discussion for everyone to share in. So for example, when either of us have had a particularly rough day, we take a few moments for what I consider a grounding hug. A big tight hug, chest pressed together, long deep breath just melts away all my worries because the only thing that truly matter in my life are health and happiness. So one suggestion is a deep hug. A hug can help start heal both of you. Okay. Younger me would have made fun of that, but I would say that there's some worth there. My guy and I randomly give one another head and scalp massages. Read that kind of quickly when you wrote give each other head and scalp massages. Okay. He'll also do this dumb thing that always makes me giggle. He'll point at his one cheek, I'll give it a peck, and then his other cheek, same as forehead, same as mouth. He doesn't do it every day, a couple times a week out of the blue. I'm smiling so big right now, thinking about it. Well, I don't know if someone's going to adopt the, head, knees, shoulders, toes, kiss me, but the massage generally is a great thing. I think that actually is probably underrated. If someone could they talk about what's interesting about relationships is that there's this big thing. There's a lot of stuff on dating, right? Because when people are lonely and they're single and it's been like that for a while, they just want to know how to date better, get someone to be attracted to them. But I would say if you learn how to give a good massage, whether that's scalp or head or shoulders, that's a big one. It can be used all the time. You're obviously intimate mates. Uh, Being able to cook, not like a chef in a top restaurant, but just one or two really good meals. goes a long ways. It's providing something for the other person. The idea of a hug. I've never been a huge hugger because we just didn't do it a lot when I was young. Um, but these are good ideas of things that, especially for people that naturally don't slide into intimacy or aren't touchy feely people, and the partner can't understand why. Is it me or what's going on? When in reality, it's just the way they were raised in their household. There just wasn't a lot of show of affection. Oh, here we go. We take bubble baths together. We leave notes around the house for each other. I mostly work for home, so I always ask him, "What do you need me to do today?" It's never more than like one small thing. If he's on an outside hospital, he will ask me if I want to watch a show together. So he watches. So he watches, and I watch it at the same time when we talk about it. We play games. We have a bunch of murder mystery board games. All right. Sounds like you guys are doing really well. Our anniversary is coming up. He asked me what I wanted to do. I suggested a bookshop that has a cafe that sells coffee and wine. After 16 years, you should know the daily simple things are what matters. Excellent. What kind of murder mystery games do you guys play? Okay. My boyfriend and I recently found Mysterium. It's a co-op board game, so very fun if you want to change all competitive games. Anyone know what Mysterium is? That's new. Haven't heard of that. Good massages are truly underrated. I think it's a big one, right? It's a big one. I'd love to hear more about any card or board games guys play and enjoy. Man, I've never been a big uh, board game person. I hug them every chance I get. I never played it. No. All right, let's see here. I hug him every chance I get. I steal kisses here and there as well. I always hug and kiss. I give his little booty a gentle smack on occasion. Good for you. I pat a cheek after each step of good luck. I have a big booty and will sometimes rent it so he can give it a smack. Oh my goodness. We sleep in different bedrooms due to different sleep styles. I snore, so we snuggle every night while watching a show, either in the living room or in my room on my tablet. Some morning. Isn't that interesting? So a lot of people think that would be a problem to sleep in separate rooms, but some people make it work. I'll tell you when I feel appreciative about him when he does or says something that reminds me of why I feel lucky to have him in my life. I smile at him a lot and randomly tell him he's pretty or that I love him. Okay. We like to surprise one another with each other's favorite treats. I'm a massage therapist, and sometimes when I hug him, I like to press in and drag my fingers firmly down in between his scapulae where he's tight and make multiple passes down the area and massage his back until his hug is over. Oh my goodness. Well, you sound like a very kind, sweet-hearted individual. Well, this is, here's your positives. What's interesting is if someone is not in a good place and they read, you're not in a good place relationship wise when you read this kind of stuff and go, oh God, can't stand that these people are so happy. We praise each other constantly for any chores we do. An attitude of grateful appreciation goes so far. Shower together. We've been a natural habit to cook for each other in the week. We've been also telling each other we appreciate each other pretty regularly. Honestly, when he walks by and hugs me or kisses me, I make his coffee, sends me TikToks or memes. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I'll just walk up to him and start scratching his head and running my fingers down his neck. He melts and curls into my curls into me like a cat. Wow, there's a lot of nice things here. Jeez. Sounds like a great massage. What's up, you love Max? How you doing? So it sounds like, just to go back to the original question, what are some small acts of love and intimacy that you give to your partner throughout the day? Right. So massage seems highly up there. It seems like some people have a signature rub of the scalp or the back, something that works every time. Kind of, if you think about it, right? If you have a dog and you scratch them behind the ears or a spot that they like or rub them on their belly, I guess humans have one of those too, right? It's always interesting. Why do you think we treat our dogs so well? Maybe not everyone treats their dogs well, but a lot of people treat their dogs really well or their cats really well. I think it's because, and you tell me in the comments what you think. Wow, you love Mex. You came right on at 11:11. Is that a big deal? The angels are talking. No complaints so far. No news is good news. Um, the reason why I think that people are so good to their dogs or cats is because they don't talk back. That's a funny answer, but it's actually true, right? Someone's like, no, they talk back when they bark or they meow. Okay, okay, okay. I think you know what I mean. You also, with your dogs or cats, have a sense of control. You're the authority figure in most cases. Even if someone says, well, no, my cat or dog gets what they want and they actually get me to do things. There's some people out there like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. But you control their food and water. You have a lot of leverage on that cat and dog. Let's see here. Let's see if we get one or two more stories and then we'll call it a day here. Anyone that's got a situation you want me to touch on, go ahead and put it in the comments. If you need to talk about your breakup, I am available this afternoon. Book a session. Email me first. All right, we'll just do that. You can email me if you want to schedule something after this. All right, so let's see something positive here. Let me pull these up so you guys can see them. All right, this is a good one. Short, it's a breakup. Let's get into it. My 30-year-old, my boyfriend, 30-year-old female, 30-year-old male, asked for a second chance. Then right after that, he cheated. WTF? Now, why would he do that? Let's get into it. My boyfriend and I broke up 9 months ago because he crossed some of my boundaries. Okay, so whenever you say boundaries, be specific: disrespect, emotional abuse, lying, pressuring me to have sex with him. All right, so these are specific, but he came back and gave me a long ass apology and promises. I felt hesitant to take him back. When I heard his voice, I felt nostalgic and decided to give him a chance. We talked for 2 days and he was so sweet. However, I couldn't help it. I felt something is off. Downloaded Bumble and created a fake account disappointedly. See, that's where your intuition comes in, right? Like, you had some intuition. Disappointedly, but not surprising, I found a match with him and chatted a bit. He flirted with me, with the fake me, wanted a date, invited me to a drink. When I asked him, "Are you single?" he said, "I'm single and ready to mingle." God, that's a cheesy line, huh? And while he was messaging this Bumble girl, who was you, he was also sending the real me "good night, sweetie" message. Man, so this is one of those cases. A lot of times you say, "Oh, I don't know. Oh, I think." I mean, this is about as hard of evidence as you need that someone's cheating, and they're not just cheating by chance or something happened or they drank so much. This is premeditated cheating. All this happened yesterday, but I didn't do anything confronting him. He doesn't know I know, and right now he's messaging me, that real me, asking about my day and how's my health. This is all right. This is so common that when someone catches someone in one of these situations where they're lying. So right now she knows he's lying. She's got him red-handed. She did a burner account or whatever you call it for Bumble. He's been messaging her, trying to get the date, trying to hook up, being flirtatious with this, I don't know, made up version of her. And people do this all the time. They go, I didn't say anything. They never confront the person. It's almost like they want to see if the person continues to lie to them. I don't know why that is. They don't just go straight for like, hey, I was that. I think part of it is they don't want to address the fact that they actually went undercover. And in the legal world, I think it's called entrapment, right? So I think that they don't want them to know, like, hey, I've been snooping around or I set you up. But I think her approach right here is the best. Just move on and just be done. I'll end things with him. The question is, should I let him know and confront him or move away in silence? Let's see what people say before I give my answer, because this is actually something that's come up before. If he's a manipulator and abuser, they usually have a large ego. I would go no contact forever with no explanation. It will only feed his ego to think you've gone to these lengths and that he's hurt you. I've changed my mind. I've grown since we split, and I don't want to risk shrinking again, but I wish you all the best. Then block, delete, and move on. Wow, she gave you a quote to throw in there, huh? Or he. I like this approach. It aligns with my personality. I don't want the drama or a long talk at all. This is a great response. Okay. So, this is a great example of someone gave you something, someone gave you something for advice. This is a great example. Um, and this individual got straight to the point on their question. But this is what you want to do when you get advice. Does this align with my personality, character, morals, and values? Do I read this and I go, that's me? Now, if there's a part of you that wants to change you and you don't like your results and you don't like who you are, then that's a different case. Maybe you got to do once a week therapy for a year or coaching or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That just means you want to change. But if you like who you are and you like how you ride and how you move or whatever you want to call it, that's a great way to it aligns with my personality. I don't want the drama or the long talk at all. So that this person just gave you a quote. I've changed my mind. I've grown since we split. I don't want to risk shrinking again, but I wish you all the best. Nice close. Drop the mic. Walk off the stage. Close the curtains. The game's done. Now, someone else might read this and go, "Oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to talk to them. I want to air some more things out." Okay, and so this is a great example. What lines up with you, right? And you're 100% correct. If you go back to this guy and ask him to explain himself and tell him you found him on Bumble, and tell him the whole story, you got to relive what was, I don't know, painful, hurtful. You got to relive that now. You got to bring it back up. You got to resurface it. He's gonna have some reason. He might be blameful. Oh, you set me up. Oh, you never wanted to get back together. And now he stirs the pot. If you just leave and you know why you're leaving, you've been away for 9 months, so you prove that you could live without him, move on and leave it with a quote and nothing else. If he somehow emails you repeatedly or wants an answer, you can go, look, you can just tell the truth. And you go, and then you can say something like, I don't need an explanation. But that's a great example, though, that's great advice for her, for this individual. But for someone else out there, maybe they want the drama. Maybe they want to have a long talk about it. Maybe they want to roast the guys over the coals. But if you caught someone in that red-handed and they just came back to you, an explanation, if you're searching for an explanation, because the proof's already there. A lot of times when you're in a situation in a breakup, you don't have 100% proof. You're kind of going on feelings, you're kind of going on different things. When you have 100% proof, it should be curtains. All right, let's just do one more. And then we'll call it a ball game here. We'll call it over. God, people who create these detailed scenarios. Let's get into this. Let's get into this because, like I said before, these situations are what add up to your breakups and relationships becoming a problem. So getting out in front of these problems and understand, seeing these little issues rather than just like in a way that they can't be fixed or you just don't like them. Like, we're looking for solutions here, people. 23-year-old female, should have never tagged along this trip with my boyfriend, his brother. So we got 26-year-old male, his brother 22, and my brother 19. So you got your brother. That's a lot of 20 somethings. That's a lot of youth and piss and vinegar out there. What do I do now? I've been dating my boyfriend for the past year and a half. His brother, my brother, and him went on a Europe trip for a month. And I decided to tag along in one of the countries they were in for 5 days. Keep in mind, I've never been out. I mean, you got 3 guys here, 26, 22. That's a lot of testosterone. One's your boyfriend, one's your brother, and one's your brother. Wow. The other part that's really incongruent here, right? Your boyfriend has feelings and loves and thoughts about you. Your brother's going to have a different kind of protective, I don't know, view of you. And then you got his brother. I mean, this is, I wish I could say they were all nice people, but I'm guessing they aren't. Keep in mind, I've never been out of the country with him or on vacation with him. For some reason, I had a gut feeling this trip wasn't going to be the best. Well, probably because you know the way that people act. Some of the things he did, raising his voice, talking down to me and my brother, have been happening for quite a while now. I just decided to shrug it off in the past because when I did raise a concern about it, he would get mad. It's like when I was on this trip, I had a switch in my brain. I did not want to be near him, talk to him, or for him to touch me. I don't know what ICK means, so to speak. Here are a few of the things that happened. I fell down bad, possibly sprained my ankle. It still hurts. I got myself up, and he was laughing the entire time and said, "This is her when she's sober. Imagine when she's drunk." I didn't want to ruin my night out, so I didn't say anything. All right, that's a red flag. I mean, the idea that depending on your relationship and who you guys are together, maybe there's some, sense of humor about things there, but to not even check if you're okay is ridiculous. I wanted to take picture. I mean, the fact that you actually sprained your ankle, it wasn't just a light fall. This guy, and you're already saying like you hold what you say, so you're allowing it to happen. This is a great idea, by the way, when you write something out like this to bullet point each thing that happened. I wanted to take pictures. He yelled at me and said, "You want to effing take pictures everywhere. Just walk." My best friend called me in tears. I was helping her out with something again, starts going off on me because how I'm going to help my best friend if I'm not in the country. This guy sounds extremely controlling. Maybe has, I don't know, a 1% of empathy in his life. Extremely selfish. I replied by saying, "I'm not just going to text her." He throws a fit, puts his plate down loudly on the table and goes, "I'm tired of your effing attitude." I started laughing because not once did I give attitude. I was out. Okay, so this is all right. This is great. Like if I was in a coaching session with this individual, if I was in a coaching session with this individual, thanks for clarifying that, you love Mex. Um, this is a big one. So when you read these bullet points, right? All right, let's just dissect this for a moment and unpack it. My best friend called me in tears. I was helping her out with something again. Starts going off on me because how so you're helping your friend out, right? This is a private conversation. I provide how I'm gonna help my best friend if I'm not in the country. Yeah, here's a news flash. Just by taking the call, listening to your friend cry, and just holding space, that's helping your friend. Okay. So this guy's an idiot in that regard. Just by think about that for a minute. You got a bad situation, you call your friend up, you're crying, you're upset. Just them answering the phone, listening to your situation, that actually is helping them. You don't need to be in another country. They're not asking you to assist them from a car or anything like that. This guy's pissing me off now. The how am I gonna I replied saying I'm just going to text her and he throws a fit. I'm tired of your effing attitudes. This is just control 101. The idea that you're laughing is a delirious thing. You're trying you're a part of you is like, is this even going on? I don't understand this. This is what you'd call theater. He's creating this big situation just to control you. On the last day of the trip, we were all eating and a topic came up. I was talking about it and he goes like, "You can stop talking now." And I replied, "I was just saying." And again, he says, "I effing hate your attitude you've had that the past week." And I say, "Mine or yours?" And his brother replies saying, "Yours." I was in shock. So the brother, I turned around and told him that he has no place to say anything. And his brother replied saying, "Well, I'm just saying what I've observed." I got up and called my dad in tears. I mean, if the this is just that says something about the brother too. Whatever's going on between you two, he doesn't need to chime in or pile it on. My brother was shocked and couldn't get words out of his mouth. Your brother's pretty weak. Because if that was my sister and someone did that, I would fucking pop his mouth. He too was incredibly annoyed by them. They sound really immature. Really immature. Um, People like this, there's a point where he's gonna get humbled. I don't know the other side of the story. Um, but sometimes you go on a trip. Obviously, it sounds like you guys don't live together. Sometimes you go on a trip together and you can realize how you really don't get along. You can't have fun. You can't. Um, I don't know what to do. I'm back. You need to break up. I'm back home. He's still in Europe for another 10 days. It's to the point where I feel so hurt. Everyone knows that he's a good person. I know that too. I don't even think he knows when he hurts me. Well, I mean, the way you're framing it in this side of the story, it sounds like this guy just doesn't have any compassion or empathy. There's nothing in him that seeks to understand. He just wants to be understood. He's under the illusion that his perspective of the world is the only perspective. This relationship, if you want to keep it going, what you're going to do is you're just going to become a bird in a cage, and he's going to slowly but surely control you more and more. The idea that he lets his brother talk shit to you too, no bueno. I don't even think he knows he hurts me. 2 months ago, I was ready to spend the rest of my life with him, but now I don't know anymore. I'm so effing sad. I don't even want to talk to him about anything because I already know he's going to tell me, pull out the receipts, or he's going to be so dismissive about it. And if I do break up with him, his family and my family are going to go crazy. Well, I mean, are you 23 and he's 26 years old? Your family, here's the interesting thing about family. All right. Really good family, they can be upset about a decision you make. They can be upset that you let go of a boyfriend or girlfriend. Okay. But they're not gonna disown you. And if they do, they probably aren't the best people to be in your life anyways. You got a lot of stuff entangled in this. You're thinking about a decision about your livelihood, about your self-respect. That's what comes into play here when you're dealing with an individual like that. You're letting this guy, browbeat you, tell you what's right and what's wrong, tell you you have a bad attitude when you don't think so. If you keep accepting that, you're going to conform to him and you're going to change as a person. And you're doing this all in the name of pleasing, I don't know, your families. And I would add, like, if your family's going to go crazy, if they witnessed the way he treated you, would they go crazy or would they tell you just to break up? Just change your perspective. This is definitely a time to do a coaching session. And the reason being is you're confused. You're looking at all the pieces and you're trying to please everyone. When in reality, we got to figure out what's best for you, or he's going to be so dismissive about it. My mom loves him. His family wants us to be married as soon as possible. My dad told me you never truly know a person until you travel with them. Sounds like your dad's the smartest guy in the room. Edit, update. Oh God, I did not think this would blow up. Hi everyone. I truly appreciate all your comments and concerns. Now for some clarifications. Okay, I did not invite myself. I was invited, but not by my boyfriend, by my brother. He called me one day and told me, I think you deserve a vacation after your first year of law school. Come for a couple days. Okay, regardless if you were invited or not, the way things went down, the tears, the disrespect. I think, and this is just my opinion. I think means I don't know. It's not factual. If you have a partner that's okay with belittling you in front of their brother or a mixed group of friends, that alone is enough to be done. That says a lot about your fucking character. Okay, you can have arguments, you can have fights, you can have bad days, you can talk down to each other sometimes. There's a limit to that, and you decide what that limit's going to be. But when someone in front of their brother berates you, it's one of the lower things to do. And he's doing it in front of his own brother. It's ridiculous. There's no reason for that. And just little things like that. And this is why I like sounds sick. I like stories like this is because this is a great point in your relationship where you just broke down all these little mini things that prove his character, right? And like just the idea that you sprained your ankle and you hurt. Okay, there's some relate where you might laugh at first, but then when he realizes you actually sprained your ankle, he should be helping you up and checking if you're okay. There should be a time for both, possibly, rather than just it's hilariously funny. All right. You love Max, Lolo, BW. Should we do one more? You guys enjoying this little bit of story time here? Like I said, hopefully this gets in the live chat's head that when you have these little stories, what's up, Sabina? This is the time to book a coaching session. This is the time to unpack it. This is a great example. Now, on the flip side, um, you're getting this individual is getting a lot of comments. Sometimes getting too many comments can, make your brain stuck. What should I do? Bro doesn't even sound like a decent person, let alone a good one, especially in front of her brother. Talk about F you to you and your family. Me and my brothers would never put up with that level of disrespect. That's the thing that got me. That's a little chilling that you're gonna you're gonna be at let's just say you're at a breakfast table, you're out eating. I'll say it in my context, my girlfriend with her sister and my sister's there. You make some kind of power move or talk down to me, strike number one. Their sister makes some kind of power move or puts me down, strike number two, right? And then they reaffirm it rather than drop it. Strike three, you're out. It's done. And you're doing it in front of my sister. I mean, there's no element of mindfulness or class or respect. It's a low thing to do. I think the only thing that I've seen that's probably the lowest thing, I think, in 2020s, and I'm sure people can beat this with individual savage stories, is when people go on social media and they just throw their partner under the bus. And maybe sometimes some of this stuff's true, but I've heard of situations where I shouldn't say I heard, I know of this one where the guy's like begging her back and texting her and saying, "Hey, we need to work this out. And I miss you so much." And she screenshotted the fucking text and put it on Facebook. And they got back together eventually. It's like, how low are you? How low? And this situation that this guy, if she broke up with him, guys like this, he hasn't been humbled in his life. Um, it's gonna be a hard fall, man. He would be saying sorry. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see if we can get one more. This is a good question. This is actually a really good question because this comes up. Let me pull this up. True or not, the internet is not the place to divulge family issues or dramas, and neither is it the place to talk about your so. Yeah, I mean, in this particular case, like Reddit or something, and you're being anonymous, I think there's a place for it. Maybe you want to get some feedback. Maybe you want to air it out. Like I said, sometimes the comments, depending on how malleable or impressionable you are, can be worse. Can make things worse. On the flip side, though, someone publicly uh, laying out an X to their social media platform and putting out their text is just extraordinarily over the top, right? I mean, the individual that told me this, I was like, "What?" He was still embarrassed. It's just a low thing. All right, let's just do this last one and then we'll call it a day. How do I handle my 26-year-old girlfriend asking me every day, "What is wrong or why are you irritated?" It's driving me bonkers. So just off the top, this is one of those things. She's uncomfortable. No, I know what you meant. You love Mex. I know what you meant. Um, she's uncomfortable. So if she's saying, "What's wrong? Why are you irritated?" She's probably projecting that she's had a partner like that before or parents that were irritated all the time. And so she constantly is used to that. And so she's looking for little micro expressions or the way you're acting, and she's trying to figure it out. And she's probably reading you in the wrong way and also probably very insecure. My girlfriend is of almost 2 years asked me every day other day, "What is wrong? Why do you seem irritated?" And it annoys the absolute piss out of me. I've told her before, one way to irk my soul is to accuse me of being irritated or mad when I'm generally not at all. Well, one question I'd have for you is so this would be the question. Do other people think that you're irritated or upset by your mannerisms, the way you carry yourself, or your facial expressions? Because we all know people that they look pissed off most of the time, right? Or they look like they're irritated. So is that something you get from other people, friends at work, family, colleagues, that they'll ask you, "Hey, is something wrong?" Just because of the way you carry yourself? That'd be my one of my questions because it's possible. Some people look grumpy. For example, today we got home from work around the same time. I was using the restroom and she was in the bedroom talking to me and randomly just asked me, "What is wrong?" When I did nothing wrong, no voice change or anything like that. So I told her nothing is wrong. 15 minutes later, I'm literally laying on the couch scrolling the web, not making a peep or saying a word. She comes out and says, "What is wrong? You seem irritated." And I just blew up because nothing is wrong. I'm literally laying on the couch. How can I be irritated? So what she has here is probably a feedback loop that by asking this question, she gets your attention. So she might be irritated or annoyed that you're not giving her attention. And when she asks this question, it instantly gets your attention. So, for example, you're on the couch, you're not paying attention, you're not giving her your full attention, right? So she looks at it like, "Well, what's wrong? You're ignoring me. You don't care. You're annoyed with me." And you're saying, "No, I just want to play on my phone." This is something that she needs to go to work on. And she's just refeeding that in her head over and over again. And there's a seed from that. There's something to that. This has been going on for a year now. And now I tell her all the time. I always tell her if something is wrong. I just don't know what the hell to do or say to get her to stop asking me that. or accusing me of acting or being away. I'm not. What I would do with this is I have a specific set of questions that have a sequence. And within those set of questions, you can get to the bottom of why you do anything. And usually it's based on some prior relationship or your childhood. And so what's really good about this post is it's very specific. You know the problem, you know the trigger, and so you can work specifically on it. And what's great about this is the fact that you're not saying this is a great teaching point. Instead of saying, "Oh, we have toxic communication. We don't communicate well. Our relationship, like he doesn't know how to communicate." No, specifically, he gets really upset when you ask him what's wrong because you do it so often, or why he's irritated when he's not. Because what that does to him is like, do I even look irritated? I don't feel irritated. Oh, you are irritated. What you're doing is you're telling him how he feels. A better question would be like, can I ask you a question? Because you're interrupting him. Think about that. Both times you were interrupted. You were in the bathroom and you were on the phone. She's trying to get your attention. She could just reframe that question like, what happened today? Is everything okay? What am I missing? Girlfriend hounds me all the time for being irritated when I'm not, and it annoys me so much. Now I don't know how to handle it. Ask, what do you need from me to show you that everything is okay? That's a good question. Ask or rephrase as you good, which is way less annoying to be asked. Yeah, she can reframe it in a positive way, but what's good about this is if you wanna just work on this one problem, it can be fixed. It can be fixed. Book a session at writemac.com and we'll go into it, right? Sabina, most people don't know how to communicate, and that's just Gen Z. Ha ha ha. Could be. This is a feedback loop where she's fixated in trance on the same thing. That's why she's saying the same thing over again. And even though he doesn't like the altercation, she's getting something from that. It's like she pushes that button, she gets a reaction subconsciously that she wants or she likes or she's looking for. And to me, I think it's getting his attention. Right when she says that, she thinks that he's irritated with her because he's ignoring her or not paying enough attention. That's what I see in that. And so what she has to be okay with is that not knowing if he's irritated or not, and he's just playing on his phone. All right, folks, it's been good. It's been grand. Go to writemac.com if you want to book a session. If not, that's okay. You love Mex. It's always a pleasure. I hope you're doing well. I know you're doing well. Sabina, always a pleasure. Lolo, also known as Lofote. Ozzy, not from Australia. Ben W, it made my day. That was very kind words from you, bud. I always forget we can just show these, huh? Maybe that's too big. Oh, there you go. Oh, no, here we go. Ben and I did a once a week, 1 month coaching, and it worked out really well. So that's his story from it. All right, folks, it's curtains. It's been good. It's been grand. I'm out.